First of all, folks, a good yontiv. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year in the study of Chassidus and in the ways of Chassidus. We're starting a new cycle. Today is Yud Kislev. It's a yontiv. It's a holiday. For those who are familiar with the prayer service, we don't say Tachanun. And the reason is because in 1798, the Alter Rebbe was released from prison. He was 53 days in prison. Many miraculous stories, many important stories that you can get on Chabad.org site. You can get more of a history of Yud Kislev. But this is a release from prison, and as a result, as the Baal Shem Tov in the Mizitri Magid came to him while he was in prison, telling him that after Petersburg, where he was in prison, in the fortress there, that you should take the teachings to the next level. And that's called Noch Petersburg. After Petersburg comes to a new level of the teachings. Well, we're after that time, of course, and we are after the learning the daily Tanya, and we're going to take it to a new level with our daily teachings. So let's begin. We begin with the title page. This title page, you could say, has it all. It's all there. I'm going to actually, because usually we don't read word for word, but here I'll do that. Sefer Likutei Amarim. There's a book called Likutei Amarim. Likutei Amarim, the word means, Likutei means a compilation, Amarim of teachings. The Alter Rebbe, in his humility, is saying that these are only teachings that he's compiled from others. So we'll say in a moment from who. And in a sense, of course it is. All Torah has to be founded on the teachings of others. In other words, it has to go ultimately all the way back to Moses at Mount Sinai. And therefore it has to be rooted in the teachings that came beforehand. And in that sense, there's no doubt the Alter Rebbe is rooted fundamentally in the traditional teachings we'll see in a moment. But that being said, there's still great novelty. And there's a beautiful story from the Frierdiker Rebbe, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was once in Vienna, and he was in a hotel lobby, and some, what we call Yeki Jews, Jews from German descent, came to him, traditional, committed Jews, came to him and asked him, what is this about Hasidic teachings? The innovative teachings that have been brought to the Jewish people or to your community. We are traditional Jews, and we have the Talmud, we have all of the traditional studies. Why is this now something new that's been brought to the fore? So the previous Rebbe, hearing their question, answers with a question first. They're in a hotel lobby, very high ceiling, and he asks them, do you see the beautiful artistic work on top of the ceiling? They look up, yeah, looks nice, not knowing what the question is meant to bring them to. Then he takes a light that was there, a lamp, and then shines the light on the ceiling. Says, now, do you see how beautiful really it is? Much more so because of the light that's shining upon it? Says, absolutely. That's exactly what Hasidic teachings are doing. It's taking something that was there already, but now a new perspective, a new light that's being shone upon the teachings that are all the way back to Moses at Mount Sinai, that were given by God Almighty to Moshe Rabbeinu, but now we have a new insight, a new perspective, because a new light is shining upon it. So in that sense, again, Likutei Amarim, it's a book of compilations. Chelik Rishon, part 1, Hanikra B'Shem, that is entitled. So we have one name called Likutei Amarim, another name that the Alter Rebbe gives, and it's Sefer Shel Beinanim. It's the book of the intermediate. Beinanim means in between. In between who? The righteous, tzaddik, and the rasha, the wicked. We'll learn more about that in chapter 10, who the Beinani is, or the righteous is rather. In chapter 11, who the wicked is. In chapter 12, the Beinani. This book is about the intermediate individual who, what we will see, it sounds intermediate, but it sounds, it's quite a lofty accomplishment. Someone who has complete mastery over thought, speech, and action. As opposed to having mastery over one's perspective, one's mind, and in one's feelings. But the tzaddik does not have an urge for anything that is not divine. That's something way and above beyond what we could imagine in our lives, not to urge anything that is not unto God. Like, an urge to eat, an urge to feel good about yourself. And, say something that makes you, feel good about yourself. That's a self-directed urge the righteous doesn't have. More on that again in chapter 10. The Beinani is someone who has this mastery, which we'll see much more about. He continues that this is compiled from sacred books. The basic sacred books that the Alter Rebbe is referring to is Rambam, Maimonides, the Maharal, the Rabbi Yehuda Leib from Prague, famous great sage in the, if I recall correctly, the 16th or 17th century, one of those 2 centuries I remember offhand. And the Shalah, Shnei Luchos Abris, this is what the basis of the sacred books. Continues, and from teachers of heavenly saintliness, whose souls are in Eden. Who are those teachers? Of course, the founder of the Hasidic movement, the Baal Shem Tov, the Israel Baal Shem Tov, and his successor, who is the Rebbe of our teacher, the Alter Rebbe, the Mezritcher Maggid, the Maggid from Mezrich, whose yahrzeit is today. His yahrzeit is today, passed away in 1772. And these are the two saintly teachers. Based upon the verse, now, there's a verse in Deuteronomy, in Dvarim 30, chapter 30, verse 14. 53 chapters. The Alter Rebbe is 53 chapters for the 53 days he was in prison. If that was just divinely orchestrated or how, but so it is. It's based on one verse in the Torah. Just to give a thought, I digress for a moment, to give you an idea, the Torah is the divine wisdom of God. Here's one book, one sefer, that we're going to spend the next 6 months, the first part of the book, 6 months studying. And it's based on one verse in the Torah. Now, of course, it's going to quote many other verses. It's going to quote many other places in the Talmud and Maimonides and the like, of course. But the foundation of the whole thing is one verse. And this is the Alter Rebbe's perspective on this one verse. Just to give you an idea that one verse in the Torah is God's divine wisdom, infinite wisdom there. Infinite divine light that you can you can dwell in it and go in deeper and deeper and deeper. It's all there. So it's a lifetime of engagement. And that's why we're doing this again, because it's a lifetime endeavor to follow the teachings of the Tanya on a daily basis. And what is that verse? For this thing, what is this thing? Torah mitzvahs, a relationship with God, and everything that means is very near to you in your mouth and your heart, that you may do it. Now, what does it mean in your mouth? Speech. In your heart is a nuanced term over here in your heart, because your heart means, of course, feelings. But feelings is not something that is complete, that Beinoni has complete mastery over, or has mastery over. It's only the righteous does. So what does it mean in your heart? It means in your heart that brings you to think. Because what do you think about? Those things that are upon your heart. If it's not in your heart, if you don't have a feeling towards something, you'll never think about that thing. So if you don't know, about a person, you'll never think about that person because you don't know that person. So you're never going to think. If you don't have a feeling towards a person, you're not going to think about them. But if you have a strong feeling of love or hate, well, that's what you're going to think about, right? If it's very strong, then you're going to think about it. So in other words, the heart, feelings are tied up with thought. So we have speech, we have thought, and we have lasaisa, to do, action. Those are the three garments of self-expression. As the garments make the man, or the person, or the woman. Meaning, garments are thought, speech, and action. Those are modes of expression that we are able to master. And that's what this verse is key to the Tanya, or the foundational verse of the Tanya, because this is what, when expounded, will give us an understanding on how, or this is what the Alter Rebbe will do in Tanya, how we can have that mastery over thought, speech, and action. There's also feelings there of the heart. So, as it says, the heart to do, that you may do it. In other words, the heart here is not about the love and awe of God as a value unto itself, but it's a love and awe of God that will bring you to do for God. Just like a person would not do for another person unless they have a love or fear for them. You won't do for God, as you could do for yourself, but to do it for God's sake, for Hashem, to do it, as we will learn later, concept of lishma, of doing it for the sake of God, with intent to connect to God. So there has to be some form of feeling. So the Alter Rebbe will get into, because ultimately to do mitzvahs out of just rote, or to do it out of not having a feeling of connectivity, of love and awe, and it'll become very dry relationship, very dry Judaism, very dry and lacking vibrancy if we don't have that. So, explaining clearly how it is exceedingly near in both a lengthy and a short way, the aid of the Holy One, blessed be He. What does it mean, a lengthy and short way? Well, briefly, the lengthy way will be until from chapters 12 to 17. We'll speak about the lengthy way. Length means using your mind. Using your mind that has dominion over the heart, that we will be able to meditate, think about our relationship with God, about God's relationship with the world, about God. So much so that it will feed our heart and we will have a feeling towards God of love and awe that will lead us to do, to serve Him. That's the lengthy way. Why is it lengthy? Because to engage your mind, to be able to conjure up or bring a feeling of whatever level that we're capable of, is an arduous task. Therefore, it's called lengthy. Short way is that we have what's called an Ava Musateres, a hidden love. That's the part of the soul. These are chapters 18 through 25. that we have already that love of God. We don't have to create it with our intelligence, with our mind to feed our heart, but we already have it because it's in the essence of the second soul, the divine soul, and all we have to do is access it. So it is, in a sense, shorter because you don't have to create it. It's there, and you just have to, negative things that are covering up over it to allow its release. And that is the short way. And with God's help, we will be able to get there. Okay, that is the title page. Of course, we could spend a lot more time on that. Then comes the approbations. 3 approbations. One is from Rab Zusha from Anipol, the famous Rab Zusha, our brother Reb Elimelech. And he gives the first approbation. He speaks about the rabbi, the Gaon, great scholar, the saintly pure man, who has brought us this teachings that show God's people on how to follow the holy ways. And as in all of the approbations, the 3 of them all say a similar idea that no one should print the Tanya for the next 5 years. First reason being that this way it will disseminate the way it was meant to be printed. There were those who were against the Alter Rebbe's teachings. That's why he was imprisoned. And to make sure that will be disseminated is the appropriate text, and no mistake should be made. Therefore, no one should print the Tanya for 5 years. Also, the printers who did put out lots of money, put themselves online, Rav Shalom Shachna and Rav Mordechai Halevi. So Shalom Shachna is the Alter Rebbe's son-in-law and the father of the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, and Rav Mordechai Gorwitz, the printer Ashklov. So they printed and they put a lot of their effort and expense in, therefore to recoup some of their expenses, that no one should print the Tanya. And again, because there are detractors from the Alter Rebbe and his teachings, people will purposely make mistakes in the teachings in order that people will get the wrong concept of what the Alter Rebbe is teaching. So that is as he calls him, a cut Mishulam Zusil Anipol, the small, insignificant, in a humble way, calls himself Zusha from Anipol. And then there is Rabbi Yehuda Leib Kayin, also gives an approbation and says a similar thing. And then the third one is from the Alter Rebbe's children, after actually the Alter Rebbe passed away. And they write, and that they also added to the Tanya, because there's the first 53 chapters. There is, which is Sefer Shel Beinoni. Then there is a second book, which is Shayich Emunah, the book of the path, the gate of unity, God's unity and faith. What does it mean that we speak about God as a creator? What does it mean, God's investment within creation? The power of creator within creation. That'll be 12 chapters in the second book. And then we have Igeres HaTshuva, the letters of penitence, of repentance, is the third book. Also 12 chapters, the original 12 steps. That was a joke, even though it's original. And then those were originally part of Tanya. Then added is the fourth book, which is the Igeres HaKodesh, the holy epistles, writings, letters that were sent to communities, and individuals to strengthen the communities and individuals in their dedication to Torah mitzvahs. And then the last part, which we just finished yesterday, of course, the 9 chapters of Kuntra Sachron, the later booklet, that went into greater depth onto explaining certain contradictions and ideas that were originally brought up in Tanya to have a deeper understanding. Those are the 5 parts of the Tanya, and again, the Alter Rebbe said, that no one should print the books for the 5 years, in order that, again, it should, as we mentioned earlier. Okay. The Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Lubavitcher Rebbe, said on Yutis Kislev, this is Rosh Hashanah, Lateris Chassidus, the Darkei Chassidus, this is the head of the new year. It's Rosh Hashanah. It's a new year for the teachings of Chassidus and the pathways of Chassidus. The previous Rebbe said a good jontiv, Lashon Tova, Bilim and Chassidus, Darkei Chassidus, Kasevu, V'sei Chasemu. Very powerful words. This is a good jontiv. It's a good holiday. We wish that it should be a good year in the teaching and the learning of Chassidus, and not just learning, because it shouldn't remain intellectual, but we should adopt it into our lives, the teachings, part of us, and that we should be written and sealed for a good year. This is the holiday of holidays. So good jontiv to everybody. And who else to wish a good yontiv over here? To Shelley from South Africa, Robert from Boston, Lena from Miami, Sarah Malka from North Carolina, Jill, a good yontiv, and good morning, Moscow, Joseph from Indonesia, Susanna from Miami, AJ, shalom. Karen from Miami, hello. Jane from the Illinois area, thank you for joining. Hadassah, Mark from Manalapan, New Jersey. Yossi, originally from Montreal, and now in Australia. Good yontiv. Ed, thank you for joining. Adam from Charleston, South Carolina. Shalom. Diana from Virginia, Boker Tov. Kikarev, yeah. Kikarev Elecha. I don't know what you mean, Yossi, by that. Please explain. Clem from Brisbane. Thank you for joining. Miriam from France, shalom. Ava V'yira, the love and awe is in the heart, yes. Alexander, Boker Tov. Erica from Norway, good afternoon to you. Julie from Florida, Tony from Costa Rica, Tim from Texas. And Elaine. Okay, we have Hani Goldman, Hani from England. And Maryland, yes, good yontiv. Sharon from St. Vincent. Brasila. We have Marilyn from Delaware. Okay. Who else is with us? All right, folks. Again, a good jontiv to everybody. Sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others, especially now that it's a new beginning. Have a wonderful day. Folks, it's time, if you're in a place where there's a Yutes Kislev Fabringen, it's important to join, to be not just online, but together with other people in the same room, celebrating this Chag HaChagim, the holiday of holidays. Good jontiv, wonderful day.